Sir, your microphone is muted.
Okay. So finally, from today onwards, okay, we shall be starting topics on organic chemistry. Okay. So remember, organic chemistry constitutes 40% of your total syllabus in your board's level. Okay. 40% of the total syllabus is for organic chemistry. So from today onwards, we shall just start with our organic chemistry topic. Okay. And to start with, okay, I shall begin with your first chapter of organic chemistry. I shall start with the first chapter of organic chemistry, that is your alkyl and aryl halides. I will start with the alkyl and aryl halides. Okay. So first of all, let us start with the simple idea. What do you mean by homologous series? So we know the homologous series means a series, okay, which constitutes a group of compounds which have similar chemical physical properties, which has the same general formula. They are known as a homologous series. There are different homologous series. For example, there are homologous series of alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, and so on. Okay. So what do you mean by an alkane then? What do you mean by an alkane? What is the molecular formula, general molecular formula of alkane? CnH2n plus 2. So this is the general formula of alkane series. This is the general formula of alkane series. Okay. Now, which is the first member of your alkane homologous series? Which is the first member of your alkane homologous series? The first member of your alkane homologous series is your methane. The first member is your methane. Okay. The second is your ethane. The third one is your propane, and so on. The fourth one is your butane, and so on. So these are the successive members of the homologous series. Which homologous series are we talking about? We are talking about alkanes. Okay, we are talking about here alkanes. Now, if I remove a hydrogen atom from each of these alkanes, so let me remove a hydrogen atom from each of these alkane series. Okay, let me remove a hydrogen atom from each of these alkane series. So what am I doing? I'm just removing the hydrogen atom. I'm removing an hydrogen atom like this. So as I remove a hydrogen atom, okay, the fragment which will be left is denoted by CS3. So what does this line indicate? This indicates the fourth valency. So we all know the valency of carbon should be 4. So 3 valencies are satisfied by these 3 hydrogen atoms, while the fourth valency is represented by this line. Okay, if I remove a hydrogen from here, what do I get? I get C2H5. If I remove a hydrogen from here, I get C3H7. If I remove a hydrogen from here, I get C4H9. And the fragment or the groups which are obtained by removing a hydrogen atom from an alkane. Okay, the groups we get, or a groups of atom which we get by removing a hydrogen atom from an alkane, these are known as your alkyl groups. These are known as the alkyl groups. And alkyl groups are represented by the general symbol R. So from now onwards, what does this capital R denote? This capital R denotes your alkyl group. It denotes your alkyl group. Fine. So now we know what do you mean by an alkyl group. So alkyl groups are the groups which are obtained by removing a hydrogen atom from an alkane. So these are known as your alkyl groups. These are known as the alkyl groups. Fine. And the halides. So what are the halides? We know what are the halides. Halides means it can be fluoride, it can be chloride, it can be bromide, it can be iodide. So these are the halides. Okay, these are the 4 halides we will be discussing about. And what is the general formula of halides? It is denoted by capital X. So remember, in organic chemistry, your capital R denotes a alkyl group and capital X denotes a halides. Okay. So what is the general formula of alkyl halides then? So the general formula of alkyl halides is Rx. So Rx denotes your alkyl halide. R stands for your alkyl groups and X stands for a halide. For example, CH3Cl, it's an alkyl halide. For example, C2H5Br, it's an alkyl halide. Okay, it may be C2H5Cl, it is an alkyl halide. So this is the general formula of alkyl halides. Fine. Now similarly, what is the formula of benzene then? The general formula, the formula of benzene molecule is C6H6. Okay, it is here C6H6. The formula of benzene is here C6H6. So if I remove a hydrogen atom from benzene, what is the fragment? C6H5. Okay. So by the way, what are the name of these alkyl groups? Okay, the alkyl group obtained from methane is known as a methyl. The alkyl group obtained from ethane is known as a ethyl. This is obtained from propane is known as a propyl, butyl, and so on. So similarly, what is this group which is obtained from benzene known as? What is it known as? Yes, it's not known as benzyl, rather it is known as a phenyl group. Rather it is known as a phenyl group. Okay. So remember the formula of benzene is C6H6. So we have 6 hydrogen out here. We have 6 hydrogen out here. Now if you substitute 1 hydrogen by halide, if I substitute 1 hydrogen by halide, what will be the formula of this compound? It will be C6H5X. 1 hydrogen has been substituted by halide. And these are normally represented by ARX. ARX. So these class of compounds are known as aryl halides. It is known as aryl halides. Okay. So to start with, okay, we have a clear idea. What do you mean by an alkyl group? What do you mean by an aryl group? What are alkyl halides? What are aryl halides? Okay. So I think it is clear till here. So remember the general formula of alkyl halides. So what is the general formula? RX. What is the general formula of aryl halides? ARX. Okay, ARX. So now let me just recapitulate the types of carbon atom. Let me just recapitulate the types of carbon atom. Okay, types of carbon atom. So what are the types of carbon atoms? So number 1 type of carbon atom is known as here primary or 1 degree carbon. So what is a primary or a 1 degree carbon? Yes, if a carbon is directly attached, if a carbon is directly attached to only 1 carbon atom, if a carbon is directly attached to only 1 carbon atom, then that is known as a 1 degree or primary carbon atom. Okay, so similarly, what do you mean by a 2 degree or a secondary carbon atom? Then what is a secondary carbon atom? Or it is also known as a 2 degree carbon atom. So what is a 2 degree carbon atom? Similarly, if a carbon is directly attached to 2 carbon atoms, if a carbon atom is directly attached to 2 carbon atoms, then it is known as a secondary carbon atom. Very simple concept. Similarly, what do you mean by a tertiary or 3 degree carbon atom? So likewise, if a particular carbon is directly attached, to 3 carbon atoms, if it is directly attached to 3 carbon atoms, then it is known as a tertiary carbon atom. Okay. So similarly, there is a quaternary or a 4 degree carbon atom. If a carbon is directly attached to 4 carbon atoms, then it is known as a tertiary, quaternary or 4 degree carbon atom. So this is the concept. Fine. Now, let me just write down the formula of a compound. So CH3, CH, CH3, CH2, C, CH3, CH3, CH3. Suppose I write down the formula of this compound. Okay. Now let us start labeling this carbon atom as primary, secondary, or tertiary carbon atom. Okay. So let us start with this carbon atom. This carbon is directly attached to only one. This particular carbon is directly attached to only one. So this is an example of 1 degree carbon atom. Similarly, this carbon is directly attached to 1, 2, 3 carbon atoms. So it's a tertiary carbon atom. This carbon is directly attached to only one. So it's known as a primary carbon atom. This carbon is directly attached to how many? 1, 2. So it's an example of 2 degree carbon atom. What about this? It's a 1 degree. What about this? It's a 1 degree. What about this? It's a 1 degree carbon atom. And what about this? It's a quaternary or a 4 degree carbon atom. So this concept of primary, secondary, tertiary carbon atoms are really easy. You just have to look at the carbon atom and you have to see that particular carbon atom is directly attached to how many carbon atoms. Okay. Now, why are we studying this? What is the use of studying this? Now see. So let me just take an example of this Cl. Okay. So right now I'm not going through the nomenclature part. Now, in this case, you have to look at the carbon to which the halogen is attached. Means you have to concentrate on this carbon atom. Okay, the carbon atom which is attached to halogen, I think it's a 1 degree carbon atom. It's a 1 degree carbon atom, right? So, if a halogen is attached to a primary carbon atom, if a halogen is attached to a primary carbon atom, then it is known as a primary or 1 degree alkyl halide. It is known as a primary or 1 degree alkyl halide. So what is a 1 degree alkyl halide? If a halogen is attached to 1 degree carbon, it's known as a primary or 1 degree alkyl halide. Similarly, if I write down the formula of this particular compound, again, which carbon atom will you concentrate on? You have to look at the carbon atom to which the halogen is attached. You have to look at the carbon atom to which the halogen is attached. So out here, the halogen is attached to this carbon, and I think this carbon is an example of your 2 degree carbon. Now, since a halogen is attached to a 2 degree carbon, okay, so this class of compounds are known as a secondary or 2 degree alkyl halides. It's known as a secondary or 2 degree alkyl halides. Got it? Now, if I just replace this hydrogen by, say, again one halogen, say bromine. Okay, so let us look at this compound now. Now you look at the carbon to which the halogen is attached. So this carbon was an example of tertiary carbon, since this is directly attached to 3 carbon atoms. So if a halogen is attached to a tertiary carbon atom, then that particular alkyl halide is known as a tertiary or 3 degree alkyl halide. Tertiary or 3 degree alkyl halide. So this is the concept of the types of alkyl halides. Right? So what is a primary alkyl halide? If a halogen is attached to a primary carbon, then it's known as a primary alkyl halide. If a halogen is attached to a secondary carbon, it's known as a secondary alkyl halide. If a halogen is attached to a tertiary carbon, then it is known as a tertiary alkyl halide. Now, one common thing out here is quaternary alkyl halide possible then? Is it possible?
No.
So, no, because the valency of this particular carbon is already saturated. Okay, the valency, this carbon is already connected to 4 carbon atoms. Okay, so we cannot add an extra halogen out here. Right? Why? Because in that case, the valency of carbon would be 5, which is not possible. So this type of compounds are not possible. It's not possible. No. Why? Because simply because of the fact that this carbon will now have a valency of 5, which is not possible. So quaternary alkyl halides are not possible. Right? Quaternary alkyl halides are not possible. So there is a simple concept about primary, secondary, and tertiary alkyl halide. And please remember the fact that the hydrogen attached to primary carbon are known as a primary hydrogen atom. The hydrogen attached to secondary carbon are known as a secondary hydrogen atom. The hydrogen attached to tertiary carbon, it is known as a tertiary hydrogen atoms. Got it? Okay. So this is the simple concept about your primary, secondary, and tertiary alkyl halides. Okay. Now, let us now discuss the types of dihalides. Let us discuss the type of dihalides. Okay, here dihalides. So, as the name suggests, what do you mean by a dihalide? If two halogens are present, okay, if two halogens are present, then it is known as a dihalides. Now, the two halogens can be attached either to the same carbon atom or it can be attached to different carbon atoms. On the basis of that, again, the dihalides are further classified into two categories. So, one is known as geminal dihalides. Geminal dihalides. So, what are geminal dihalides? If or when two halogens are attached, when two halogens are attached to the same carbon atom, when two halogens are attached to the same carbon atom, then these class of compounds are as a geminal dihalides. As for example, say I have CH3, I have CH, I have two halogens attached to the same carbon like this. So this class of compounds are known as a geminal dihalides. It is known as a geminal dihalides. Dihalides, why? Because two halogens are present. Why geminal? Since the two halogens are attached to the same carbon atom. Fine. So you should be knowing this, eh? So this will be repeated in almost every chapter. Okay. So this will be repeated in almost every chapter. So we should now develop a concept about all these things. Okay. Now, the other class of dihalides are known as a vicinal dihalides. Okay, they are known as a vicinal dihalides. So, what are vicinal dihalides on the other hand? So, when two halogens are attached to, when two halogens are attached to two adjacent carbon atoms. Okay, when two halogens are attached to two adjacent carbon atoms, then this class of compounds are known as a vicinal dihalides. Okay, so as for example, say I have CH3, I have CH, say Cl, CH2, Cl. So again is an example of dihalide. Why? Again, there are two halogens present. But in this case, the two halogens are attached to two adjacent carbon atoms. Okay, so these class of compounds are known as a vicinal dihalides. Now this concept will be carried forward. So what do you mean by geminal diols? So if two OH groups are attached to the same carbon, they are known as geminal diols. If two OH groups are attached to two adjacent carbon atoms, they are known as a vicinal diols. So vicinal means the two groups should be attached to two adjacent. Geminal means the two groups should be attached to the same carbon. So they are known as a geminal and vicinal. Okay. Now, in this class, we shall just recapitulate your IUPAC system of nomenclature because 1-2 questions will be there. Okay, naming of organic compounds according to your IUPAC system of nomenclature. Okay. Okay, so what are the rules for naming IUPAC? What are the rules? Okay, actually, if we just recall, your IUPAC name is composed of three parts. So number one is your prefix. Then the other one is a word root. Okay, and the other one is your suffix. Actually, the suffix are of two types again. What are the two types of suffix? They are primary and secondary suffix. So what does word root indicate then? how do you derive a word root? The word root is derived from the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. Okay, this word root, the word root is derived from the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. We all know this. If there is just one carbon atom, what will be the word root? Met. If there are two carbon atoms, what will be the word root? Eth. If there are three carbon atoms, prop, but, pent, hex, hept, and so on. Okay, so this we know. I'm not going to it. Okay, word root is derived from the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. Okay. Next, primary suffix. So what does a primary suffix indicate then? A primary suffix, it indicates the nature of carbon-carbon bond. Okay, so if there is a carbon-carbon single bond, what is the primary suffix used? In. If there is a carbon-carbon double bond, what is the suffix used? In. If there is a carbon-carbon triple bond, what is the suffix used? YNE. And if there is an alkyl group, we use the suffix YL. Okay, so again, this is known fact. So primary suffix, yes, it indicates the nature of carbon-carbon bond like this. Okay. So what does a secondary suffix indicate then? What does a secondary suffix indicate? So this secondary suffix indicates the nature of functional group. It indicates the nature of what? Functional group. As for example, if there is an alcoholic functional group OH, what is the secondary suffix used? All. Okay, we know this. If there is an aldehyde, what is the secondary suffix used? Al, etc., etc. So we will be doing this as we proceed to the other chapters. So primary suffix, it indicates the nature of carbon-carbon bond. Secondary suffix, it indicates the nature of functional group. So last, before the word root, then what do we have? We have a prefix. We have a prefix. So what does a prefix denote then? A prefix, it indicates, it gives information, or it indicates the nature of substituent. It indicates the nature of substituent. So what is a substituent? So substituents are atoms or group of atoms which are not considered as functional group. Okay, they are an atom or a group of atoms which are not considered as a functional group. What comes under this category? Yes, what are the normal prefixes? All halides are regarded as substituent. Fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide, these all are regarded as substituent, not functional group. Right? All the alkyl groups are regarded as substituents. All the alkyl groups are regarded as substituents. Your nitro group, yes, again these are regarded as substituents. The nitro group is regarded as substituent. Okay, so etc., etc. So these are set of rules which we have already done in your basic class 11 chapters. Okay, so this is how we name a compound according to your IUPAC system of nomenclature. Now, there was some set of rules, if you all remember. Okay, there was some set of rules. Right? So what were those rules then? So after we fix the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. Okay, after we find out the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms, then what is the next step? We should number the carbon atoms. We should number the carbon atoms. Okay, and where will you start the numbering from? The numbering should be done from the end. That will give lowest number. The numbering should be done from the end. That will give lowest number to the functional group. That will give lowest number to the double bond, triple bond, or a substituent. So numbering is to be done from the end, which gives lowest number to the substituent, to the functional group, to the double bond, to the triple bond, and so on. Okay. Now, what is the order of priority then? What is the order of priority? Priority means, say, if in a compound we have substituent, we have a functional group, we have a double bond. If all three are present, so double bond is also there, functional group is also there, substituent is also there. So where will we start the numbering from? किसको priority देंगे हम लोग? Okay. So the order of giving priority is, number one priority is given to the functional group. If it is present, functional group should get the highest priority or the lowest number while numbering. Okay, followed by double bond, followed by double bond, followed by triple bond, followed by triple bond, and finally followed by a substituent. Finally followed by a substituent. Okay, so this is the order of priority. This is the order of priority. So today we shall just start with a few basics, okay, nomenclature of some halides. Okay, so write down along with me, write down along with me. So name the following, or write the IUPAC name of the following. Write the IUPAC. Okay, write down the IUPAC names of the following. Write down the IUPAC names of the following. So let us start. Okay, let us start. Okay. So first I'll give you CH3, H. Then we have a double bond like this. We have a hydrogen atom out here. We again have a hydrogen out here. We have a methyl group out here. Okay, and we have a bromine atom out here. We have a bromine atom out here. So you have to name it according to your IUPAC system of nomenclature, this particular compound. Okay, now how do we proceed? First, let us move towards the easy way. Okay, what is the easy way? First, let us simplify this formula. How are we going to simplify? Now see, so I'll start from one of the end. I'll start from one end. I'll start from this end. Okay, I'll start from this end. So what do I have out here? I have CH3, single bond. Then I have CH out here. I'm going to write down CH. Connected by a double bond like this. Again, I have CH. Single bond. Again, I have CH. Then this CH is connected to a methyl group like this. And remember, bromine is attached to this carbon atom. And bromine is attached to this carbon. So now the things get simplified. Now the things get simplified. Okay. So here, what do we have? We have a double bond. Okay. And we have a substituent as well. We have a double bond and we have a substituent. So if double bond as well as substituent are present, then we should give priority to what? Substituent will get the lowest priority. Remember, the double bond has a higher priority over the substituent. Here we do not have any functional group, so leave the functional group. So if I start numbering from this end, 1, 2, 3, double bond will start at number 3. Okay, but if I start numbering from this end, the double bond will start from number 2. So lowest number should be assigned to the double bond. So I think the correct way of numbering will be this. The correct way of numbering will be this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, because if I start numbering from this end, 1, 2, 3, then it will give number 3. Double bond will start from number 3. But if I start from this end, double bond will get number 2. So it should get highest priority or lowest number. Now, what is the name of this compound then? What is the name of this compound? First, we should write down the position of the substituent. This substituent is attached to which carbon? 4. So it will be 4 bromo Okay, so what is the word root? How many carbon atoms are there in the longest continuous carbon chain? 5. So what is the word root? Pent. Where does the double bond start from? The double bond starts from number 2. So I'll write them 2 out here. And since there's a double bond present, the primary suffix is going to be in. So the complete IUPAC name of the compound is 4-bromo-pent 2-in. 4-bromo-pent 2-in. Okay, 4-bromo-pent 2-in. So look at this compound now. Look at this compound. Okay, so now again let us try to simplify this compound. So I'll start from this end. So I have CH3, single bond CH, double bond C. To this carbon, what is attached? A methyl group is attached like this. Then followed by single bond CH, followed by again CH3, and to this particular carbon, CH wala carbon mein again bromine is attached. Bromine is attached. Now it becomes really simple. Now in this case, again the longest continuous carbon chain will be this. Okay. Now here, how many substituents are there? If there is if this is the longest continuous carbon chain, then there are 2 substituents. There are 2 substituents present. There are 2 branches. Okay, and the branches which arises from the longest continuous carbon chain. Okay, so you have to look. This is an alkyl group substituent. This is an alkyl group substituent. So here also no functional group is present. Fine. Now, what is the name of the substituent? Bromo, it starts with B. What is the name of the substituent? Methyl, it starts with M. Where will you start the numbering from? If I start the numbering from this end, again the double bond will get number 3. But if I start numbering from this end, the double bond will get number 2. So priority to double bond ko denge hum log. So this is the correct way of numbering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the correct way of numbering. Now, since there are 2 substituents present, okay, fine, we have done numbering, we have identified the longest continuous carbon chain, we have identified the substituents. Now the problem is, which substituent will you name first? The one which comes first in the alphabetical order will be named first. Obviously, B will come before M. So which substituent will you name first? You name bromine first. Okay, so what is the IUPAC name then? It will be 4-bromo, then 3 में methyl. What is the word root again? Pent. Again, double bond position 2-in. So the complete IUPAC name will be 4-bromo, 3-methyl, pent, 2-in. Got it? So if there are more than one substituent, then which substituent are we going to name first? That substituent which comes first in the alphabetical order. The substituent which comes first in the alphabetical order will be named first. Okay, it will be named first. Okay, fine. So this is how we name these types of halides according to your IUPAC system of nomenclature. Okay. So let us practice a few more problems. Let us practice a few more problems then. Okay. So number 3, CH3 whole 3 C CH2 Br. Okay. Now what does this mean? Again, let us simplify this formula. Now to this carbon, how many methyl groups are attached? 3 methyl groups are attached. So we draw this carbon. To this carbon, there are 3 methyl groups. So 1 methyl group, 2 methyl group, and 3 methyl group. And remember, methyl group can never be in the middle. Eh? Why methyl group can never be in the middle? Say, as for example, if I write down a methyl group out here, then what is wrong about this compound? Then? Why can't I do this? because again that would mean the valency of this carbon is 3, 4, 5, which is not possible. So methyl group can never be in the middle, remember. Okay, either it can be in the end, or alkyl groups, they occur as branches like this. They cannot be in the middle. Fine. Followed by CH2, followed by Br. Now tell me, this alkyl halide comes under which category? Is it a 1 degree or a 2 degree alkyl halide? Is it a 1 degree or a 2 degree alkyl halide? So again, you have to look at the carbon atom to which the halogen is attached. So this is an example of a 1 degree carbon. So this is a 1 degree alkyl halide. It's a 1 degree alkyl halide. Okay, it's an example of your 1 degree alkyl halide. Now in this case, where will you start the numbering from? Which is the longest continuous carbon chain? This is the longest continuous carbon chain. Okay, so I think numbering should be done from this end, because if I start numbering from this end, then the substituents will start from number 2. But if I start numbering from this end, then the substituent will start from number 1. So this is the correct way of numbering. 1, 2, 3. So what are the substituents again? 2 methyl groups, bromine. It comes with B, this comes with M. Which one are you going to write down first? Which one will you write down first? Obviously bromine. So what is the name? 1 bromo 2, 2. Why 2, 2? Because 2 methyl groups are attached to the same carbon, second carbon. So 2, 2. Since there are 2 methyl groups, I am going to write down dimethyl. I am going to write down dimethyl. So 1 bromo 2, 2 dimethyl. What is the word root? 3 carbon atoms are there. So it will be propane. It will be propane. 1 bromo 2, 2 dimethyl propane. Okay. So now I'm going to give you few more problems. Okay. Try to do this on your own now. Try to do this on your own. CH3 whole 2 CH Cl CH3. Methyl butane. Good, excellent. Okay, we have 2 methyl groups. I'll draw 1 methyl group out here, and these are attached to this CH. One more methyl group is there. So I have CH out here. To this CH, what is attached? Chlorine is attached, and I have CH3. So I have simplified the design. So here, a very important rule. Okay, so if I start numbering from this end, then the substituent will get number 2. If I start numbering from this end, then the substituent will get number 2. So in this case, from which end should I number? Then this IUPAC rule comes into play. What was the rule? If 2 substituents occurs at equal distances, then numbering should be done from that end. Which gives lowest number to the substituent, which comes first in the alphabetical order. Okay, which comes first in the alphabetical order. For example, here we have 2 substituents which occurs at equal distances. Equal distances means number 2, number 2. So in this case, we have to look at the nature of substituent. What is the name of the substituent? Chloro. It starts with C. What is this substituent? Methyl. It starts with M. Which will come first in the alphabetical order? Chloro comes first in the alphabetical order. So in this case, numbering should be done from that end, so that lower number, okay, is presented to the substituent which comes first in the alphabetical order. So this is the correct way of numbering, not the other way around, right? So you should follow these rules, right? You should follow these rules. Now again, while writing, okay, which substituent will you write first? Again, the one which comes first in the alphabetical order. So you'll write down chloro. So name will be 2-chloro 3-methyl 2-chloro-3-methyl or butane, 2-chloro-3-methyl butane. Got it? So this, I think this rule is clear now. And this comes under which category? It's a what type of alkyl halide now? कौन सा degree alkyl halide है? Is it a primary, secondary, or tertiary alkyl halide? So again, you have to look at the carbon to which the halogen is attached. It's a 2-degree carbon.
Secondary.
Yes, so this is an example of your secondary alkyl halide. So this is an example of a secondary alkyl halide. Okay, this is an example of a secondary alkyl halide. So last one, huh? So last one. So I think you guys are able to recapitulate these things which we are already discussed in your class 11. Okay, so I'll be sending you more additional problems. So CH3, CHCl. Okay, so I'll give you this CH3CH, double bond CH, single bond C, CH3, CH3, Br. Fine. So again, it's not an issue. This is the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. Okay. So I think numbering should be done from this end because the double bond should get lower number. The double bond should get lower number. So which substituent will you name first? Bromine. It comes first in the alphabetical order. So 4 bromo, 4 methyl pent. Double bond starts at number 2. Pent 2 in. 4 bromo, 4 methyl pent 2 in. Okay. So this type of questions are very common. This type of questions are very common. 1 marks question, especially in your group A, MCQ or write down the IUPAC name, whatever. Okay, 1 marks question. Okay. So now, if this is understood, then so let me just discuss a bit about this. Let me just discuss a bit about this. What do you mean by a complex substituent? Okay, what do you mean by a complex substituent? So, when the substituent is further branched, then this kind of substituents are known as a complex substituents. Okay. So write down along with me now CH3, CH2, CH2. I have CH out here. Then I'll write down just CH3 out here. I'll write down CH2, 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 CH3. Okay. So what is the name of this compound? What is the name of this compound? So I think it's 4-methyl octane. 4-methyl octane. It's so simple. Okay. So this kind of substituents are known as a simple substituents. Fine. But if I replace this by one CH3 out here and CH3 out here, or CH2, CH3 out here, if I replace by this, right? Okay, so I'll just write down CH3. Now here the substituent is further branching. There is a branching in the substituent. Now this is a case of your complex substituent. Okay, if the substituent is further branched, then this kind of substituents are known as a complex substituent. So how do we name it? First, we have to number. Okay, so I'll start numbering from this end. So the substituent should get lower number. So if I start numbering from this end, it will get 4. If I start numbering from this end, it will get 5. Okay, now the carbon which is attached to the parent chain, will be numbered as 1 or sometimes 1 prime like this. Okay, it can be 1 or 1 prime. I'll number it as 1. Now in the substituent again, you have to look for the longest chain. So here it's not an issue 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'll consider any one of these as the parent chain. So if this is the parent chain in the substituent, again, this is the branching in the substituent. This is the branching in the substituent. Got it? I'll identify the parent chain. Then I'll identify parent chain. How do you identify? Longest. Then I'll identify the branch like this. Your longest can be 1, 2 or 1, 2. It's not an issue. Fine. Now the naming part. Now this whole substituent is attached to which carbon of the parent chain? It is attached to number 4. So 4 dash, and remember the name of the complex substituent is always written in bracket. Okay, so how do we write down the name? So 1. So what is the branching of this substituent? What is this? Methyl. 1 methyl. Longest chain contains how many carbon? 2. So 1 methyl ethyl, not ethane, because this is an alkyl group. This is an alkyl group. So 1 methyl ethyl, 2 carbon atoms. So 1 methyl ethyl, not 1 methyl ethane. This is an alkyl group, remember. So this whole thing is attached to number 4 carbon. So 4 1 methyl ethyl. Then what is the name? Octane. 4 1 methyl octane. So this is how we name a complex substituent. So what is a complex substituent? Again, when the substituent is further branched, then these kind of substituents are known as a complex substituent. And remember, this is the way how we name a complex substituent. Okay. So why are we studying this? Because, okay, so there are many problems in your NCERT, okay, where you have to name complex substituents. So let us see. Now see, what is the formula of this compound? C6H6. Easy. What is the formula of this compound? This means one of the hydrogen has been replaced by any other group. I write down as phenyl group, C6H5. Okay, now if 2 hydrogen atoms are replaced by any other group like this, it is replaced by 2 groups like this. So what is the formula of the remaining fragment? It will be C6H4. It will be C6H4. Now, when the 2 substituents are in the 1, 2 position, these are known as your meta. Sorry, these are known as your ortho, denoted by small o. Okay, so these 2 groups can be in the 1, 3 position like this. It can be in the 1, 3 position like this. So these positions are known as a meta, denoted by small m. Last possibility, the 2 substituents can be in the 1, 4 position like this. What are these positions known as? Yes, it's known as a para or P. Okay, so C6H4 means the 2 hydrogen of benzene has been replaced by other 2 groups. And the 2 groups can be in which position? 1, 2, it's known as a ortho. It can be in the 1, 3 position, meta. It can be in the 1, 4 position. It's known as a para. That is known as a para. Okay, now let us see some problems related to this. Okay, let us see some problems related to this. So let us try to name this compound according to your IUPAC system of nomenclature. So here you can see P. P indicates your para. We also see C6H4. What is C6H4? We have a benzene nucleus where the two substituents are in the para position. What are the substituents? One is your chlorine, Cl. What is the other one? What is the other one? CH2, CH, CH3 whole 2, CH3 whole 2. Fine, I have simplified this. I have simplified. C6H4 means benzene with two hydrogens substituted by two substituents. What are the two substituents? Chlorine and this. And these are in the para position, means 1,4 position. These are in the 1,4 position. Okay. Now, where will you start the numbering from? Again, you have to look at the substituent. What is the name of this substituent? Chloro. It starts with C. This, what is the longest chain out here? 1, 2, 3. Prop. It starts with P. So which will you number first? Priority kisko doge? Which will you number first then? The one which comes first in the alphabetical order. Obviously, I should start the numbering from here, not here. Eh? Okay, C will come first. Chloro. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I can regard this substituent as a complex substituent. Why? Because the substituent is further branched. The substituent is further branched now. So there is a case of a complex substituent. So what is the rule? What is the rule? Now the rule was the carbon atom which is attached to the parent chain will be numbered as 1. So I'll number this 1, 2, 3. I've identified the longest chain. Okay. Fine. So how do I write down the name? First, I'll write down chloro. So 1 chloro.
Can you explain it again?
Okay, now fine. See, so I'll start from here. First thing is that there are two substituents out here. Okay, one is an alkyl group, one is your halogen. What is the name of this halogen? Chloro C. Now in this substituent has a longest chain of how many carbon atoms? Longest chain 1, 2, 3. So longest chain 3 hua to what is the word root? Prop. So it starts with P, this substituent, this starts with C. So I start numbering from the substituent which comes first in the alphabetical order. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fine. So if this is a substituent, then this substituent is branch. We can see the branching arising from this substituent. And whenever the substituent is branched, these kind of substituents are known as a complex substituent. Okay, this since the substituent is branched, you can see the branching out here. So this is a case of a complex substituent. Now, what was the rule we just stated a little bit earlier? The carbon atom which is attached to the parent chain will be numbered as 1. So this is directly attached to this parent chain. So it is numbered 1, 2, 3. Got it?
If the branching is not there, then how will write?
Okay, yes, good question. If the branching is not there, how will you write down? It's not an issue then. If there is no branching, say if we have this type of compound, what will be the name? 1 chloro 4 propyl benzene. It will be 1 chloro 4 propyl benzene. This is a simple substituent since there is no branching arising. Got it? But since this is not the case out here, we have a methyl branching out here. Right? So this becomes a complex substituent now. If there was no branching, if there was only just CH2, it would have been propyl group. So 1 chloro 4 propyl benzene. But since we have a branching arising, this is a complex substituent. So we have to name the carbon, we have to number the carbon atom which is attached to the parent chain as 1, 2, 3. So now naming part. 1 chloro, fine, 4. This whole complex substituent is attached to number 4 of benzene ring, 4. So now what is the substituent here? Methyl. This is attached to which carbon? 2. So it will be 2 Methyl. What is the word root of the substituent? Propyl. Then benzene. 1-chloro, 4, 2-methyl propyl. 2-methyl propyl benzene. Okay, now here we see the two substituents are in the ortho position like this. Now, which will come first in the alphabetical order? Obviously, you have to look at the substituents. It starts with B, bromo, prop. So I'll start numbering from here. 1, 2. Now, the carbon atom which is directly attached to the parent chain will be numbered 1, or I can number it as 1 prime. Eh? Yes, in some textbooks, you will find it as 1 prime. You can use 1 or 1 prime, whatever you wish. Now, which will you name first? The one which comes first in the alphabetical order. So, it will be 1 bromo. This whole substituent is attached to number 2. So, 2. Now, substituent is branched from number 1 carbon atom. Here it was branched from number 2. Here is branching arises from number 1. So, it will be 1 prime. What is the substituent? Methyl propyl. Why propyl? There are 3 carbon atoms. Remember, it's an alkyl group, not an alkane. Eh? So, 1 bromo, 2, 1 prime, methyl propyl, benzene. Got it? So if you have this elementary idea about the naming of complex substituent, then you should not have any problem in the future, right? Okay. So again, look, practice it once more. Okay, there are some more additional problems which I'll discuss in the next class. Okay, fine. So this is all about your IUPAC system of nomenclature. This is all about your IUPAC system of nomenclature. Now, apart from your IUPAC names, okay, we can use some common prefixes. Hey, there are some common prefixes whose idea we must have. Okay, so next topic, write it down. Your common prefixes. Common prefixes. So, if I'm not mistaken, again, this has been dealt in class 11, but since it has been quite a long time, I think it must have erased from your memory. Okay, so let us do. So, number 1 common prefixes is normal. So, when do you use the prefix normal or just in? When there is no branching. Eh? When there is no branching. If there is no branching, we use this in. For example, CH3, CH2, CH2, CH3. So we can write this as N-butane. N stands for N-butane. What does it indicate? Yes, it's a straight chain with no branching, normal. Okay. So IUPAC name, what will be the IUPAC name? It will be 1-bromobutane. IUPAC name, it will be 1-bromobutane. But common, if we use the common prefixes, we can write this as N-butyl bromide. We can also write it as N-butyl bromide. N-butyl means it's a butyl group with no branching. Bromide means obviously if there is no branching, bromine should be attached to the end carbon atom like this. Got it? So we use the prefix normal when there is no branching at all. Okay. So the second one, when do we use the prefix iso? When do we use the prefix iso? So we use the prefix iso when there is a CH3 CH when there is a CH3, CH, CH3 group. So when this grouping is present, then we can use this common prefix iso. We can use this common prefix iso. For example, okay, fine. I've written down the formula of one compound. So first of all, what is the IUPAC name of this particular compound? The IUPAC name is really easy. It will be 2-methyl propane. IUPAC name will be 2-methyl propane. But if I'm supposed to use the common prefix, then say, is this group present out here? Yes, CH3, CH, CH3 grouping is present. CH3, CH, CH3 grouping is present. So the common prefix now I can use this iso. Total, how many carbon atoms are there? 4. So it will be isobutane. Why N? Because it is connected through a single bond only. So it will be isobutane. Got it? So when do you use the prefix iso? When this grouping is present. When this grouping is present, then we can use this prefix iso. So what is this then? What is this? What is the difference between this and this? So this is an alkane, isobutane, but here I have removed one hydrogen. One hydrogen has been substituted. So as soon as I remove one hydrogen, the alkane gets converted to an alkyl group. So there is an alkyl group since one hydrogen is missing from alkane. And here also we see this grouping is present. The iso grouping is still present out here. So what will be the name of this compound? Yes, guys. What should be the name of this compound? Not compound, obviously. If I say compound, it would be wrong. What should be the name of this group then? It's an alkyl group. Alkyl group with and iso group is also present. And total, how many carbon atoms are there? 4. So if this is isobutane, this should be what?
Isobutyl.
Exactly. Isobutyl. It should be isobutyl. Very good. It should be isobutyl. Fine. And if I write down bromine out here, then what will be the name? If I add bromine out here, what will be the name? Using the common prefix, it will be isobutyl is present and bromine is also present. So it will be isobutyl bromide. It will be isobutyl bromide. Got it? So when you have to look, when you name it according to your common prefixes, you have to look at this group. If this grouping is present, then yes, it's known as a iso. It is known as a iso. We can use the term iso. So am I clear? Is there any confusion? Okay. Okay. So when do we use the prefix sec or simply s? When do you use this? So when branching occurs from secondary carbon atom and if iso group is absent. So again, very important. So when do we use the prefix sec? SEC means secondary. It's a short form of secondary. Or you can just write down small s. You can just write down small s out here. So when do we use this prefix then? Okay, so we use this prefix when branching occurs from which carbon? When branching occurs from the secondary carbon, provided iso group is absent. Provided iso group is absent. What does this mean? Let us see. Okay. Okay, fine. So here we see this is an alkyl group, one hydrogen is missing, and branching is taking place from which carbon? Look, examine closely. Branching is taking place from, I think, secondary carbon. This is an example of secondary carbon. And do you think here your iso group is present? Is this group present? CH3CH, CH3 group is present? No. Here CH3CH, CH2 group is present. But iso group means CH3CH, CH3 grouping should be present. So iso group is absent. If iso group is absent and if the branching occurs from the secondary carbon, then we can use this prefix sec. So what will be the name of this alkyl group? It will be secondary. Yes. How many carbon atoms are there? Yes, what will be the name? Guess the name. Guess the name. Secondary. It's an alkyl group. Butyl. Secondary butyl. Now, if I have bromine out here, secondary butyl bromide. Bas. Okay. Okay, now let us move to this compound. Again here, branching is taking place from 2-degree carbon. Branching is taking place from 2-degree carbon. But the problem out here is, here we have an iso group present, right? So if iso group is present, then we have to write down the prefix iso, not secondary. When do you use the term secondary? If branching occurs from the 2-degree carbon and provided iso group is missing. But here iso group is present, so the name would be again isobutane, not secondary butane. The name will be isobutane. Got it? So if iso group is present, हम लोग iso use करेंगे. But if iso group is absent and if the branching occurs from the secondary carbon, it's as a secondary. Okay. Okay, so let us see some more examples. Let us see one or two more examples. What is the common name of this compound? What will be the common name of this compound? So branching is taking place from secondary carbon. No iso group is present. Total, how many carbon atoms are there? 5. So what will be the name? What will be the name? It will be secondary 5 carbon atoms, pentyl chloride. Secondary pentyl chloride. Got it? Secondary pentyl chloride. Okay. Now let us quickly move towards the remaining classification. Now, third one, when do we use the term neo? When do we use the term neo? The term neo is used if CH3, C, CH3, CH3, if this group is present. So we use the term neo if this group is present. Okay, so if this group is present, then we use the term neo. Then we use the term neo. Okay. So it's 2-3 चीज याद करना है बस. Okay, fine. Is the neo group present here? Yes or no? Is the neo group present? Is the neo group present?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, the neo group is present. The neo group is present. Okay, we can clearly see the neo group. Right? So what will be the name? What will be the name? Neo what? Total how many carbon atoms are there? Total how many carbon atoms are there? 4, 5, 6. So neo Hexane, neohexane. Okay. Is the neo group present out here? Is the neo group present? Yes.
Not present.
Take your time. If I say take your time, then it must be present. Yes. So can I write this CH3 as CH2H? Can I write it? Yes, I can write it. Okay, CH3, I can write it as CH2H. Yes. Now tell me if the neo group is present or not. Now you'll say yes, neo group is present, definitely present. Okay, so what is the name then? It will be neopentane. The name will be neopentane. Sorry, neo, 5 carbon atoms. So it will be neopentane. Got it? If I remove this hydrogen, then what will be the modification? What will be the name? Now I am removing a hydrogen from an alkane. So it will be neopentyl. It will be neopentyl. It will be neopentyl. So just remember, iso kab use karenge, which grouping should be present? When do we use the term neo? Which group should be present? Okay. So now we are moving towards the last topic for today. Okay. So when do we use the term tertiary, TRT, or just small t? So when do we use? As the name suggests, when branching occurs from a tertiary or a 3-degree carbon atom. Then we use this term tertiary or T. Fine. So yes, we can clearly see out here, the branching is taking place from a 3-degree carbon atom. There is no neo group present, and we see that branching takes from a 3-degree carbon. And tell me now whether this is an alkyl group or an alkane. Obviously, one hydrogen is missing means this is an alkyl group. Okay, so branching occurs from your tertiary carbon. So what is the name of this group? Tertiary. How many carbon atoms are there? 4. So it will be tertiary butyl. So remember, this is going to, this term is, you'll say this term frequently. Tertiary butyl means this group. Tertiary means branching from secondary carbon like this. This is known as a tertiary butyl. So if bromine is present here, tertiary butyl bromide. Okay. If OH group is present out here, tertiary butyl alcohol. Okay. If chlorine is present out here, tertiary butyl chloride. If nothing is present out here, just this group will be known as a tertiary butyl group. It's known as a tertiary butyl group. Now, with this concept, with these ideas, okay, we shall be moving forward towards the main theme of this chapter. Okay, we shall be moving towards the main theme of this chapter. Fine. Achha.